A group of mercenaries sets out for a tropical island teeming with dinosaurs to collect blood samples from the giant reptiles. But in addition to the resurrected predators, a terrifying mutant created in a laboratory awaits them there. The film's events begin in 2008 on the tropical island of St. Hubert. There is a research laboratory there where resurrected dinosaurs are studied. Neglecting safety protocols and a Snickers candy wrapper lead to an emergency situation, forcing the evacuation of the staff. One of the scientists fails to escape from the laboratory in time. Trying to help him, a colleague sees a creature appear behind the unfortunate man, a result of the local geneticist's selective work resembling an oversized xenomorph. The monster devours the trapped scientist. The story then jumps 17 years into the future. The resurrected dinosaurs could have spread across the entire Earth, but the harsh climate forces them to live in the tropical belt near the equator. Some individuals venture farther, like the giant that caused a traffic jam in New York. Martin, a representative of a pharmaceutical company, meets with Zora, an expert in covert operations. He wants to hire the woman for a not entirely legal operation, but she refuses for her own reasons. Nevertheless, Martin manages to persuade her with the promise of a fee that would allow her to never work again. But for the operation to succeed, they need a civilian specialist, paleontologist Henry, who is being fired from the museum. Martin explains that their task will be to obtain blood samples from 3 giant dinosaurs, an aquatic one, a flying one, and a walking one. This will help doctors create a medicine that prevents heart disease. The company will make a fortune, as will the mercenaries, if they make it back alive. The woman and the paleontologist agree. The whole crew flies to Suriname to charter a boat from Zora's old acquaintance Duncan. Among the crew is a security specialist. Although his name is Bobby, everyone knows he's actually Francis. After discussing the details of the difficult job and admiring the jaw of a caught dinosaur, the team continues their journey. The mercenaries head towards St. Hubert Island for their first specimen, a water-dwelling mosasaur. On the way, they inspect their equipment, including syringes for collecting blood samples. These syringes can not only extract DNA, but also shoot the capsule upward so it can descend later by parachute. The paleontologist volunteers to shoot at the dinosaurs with a rifle, but Zora, taking him to the bow of the ship, points out that even seasoned marksmen struggle with accuracy from such a position. At the same time, Ruben Delgado's yacht is also lingering in the same area. The man went on vacation with his daughters Teresa and Isabella, as well as Javier, Teresa's boyfriend. They spot the crests of a pair of Spinosaurus and then run into a Mosasaurus. The giant, playfully splashing around in search of prey, casually capsizes the yacht. Javier ends up trapped in the cabin when the boat flips over. Ruben tries to save the young man and then ends up on the hull with his daughters. Knocked away by the mast, Javier surfaces some distance away and paddles toward them, while the Mosasaurus chases after him. He barely manages to reach the boat, forcing the reptile to turn away. That evening, the mercenaries' vessel picks up a distress signal from the shipwrecked Delgado family. They are surprised, since navigation is prohibited in this area, but decide to go help. This is despite the secrecy of their mission and disagreements about it among the crew. After a while, Duncan's boat finds the overturned yacht, and the unlucky tourists are brought on board. The mission continues. The mercenaries track the mosasaur to collect a blood sample. During a confrontation, Zora charges at us with a rifle, asking Henry to restrain her with ropes. The cunning beast dives, creating a wave that causes the girl to miss her shot. Then the dinosaur sideswipes the boat, and Zora falls overboard. But the safety harness holds just in time. When Henry pulls her up, she fires at the creature. After the hit, the syringe fills with blood shooting upward, and the sailors catch the parachute with the capsule. However, reaching the island turns out to be not so easy. Spinosauruses, hunting together with the elder mosasaur, surround the boat. Bobby tries to scare the beasts off with bursts from his rifle, but achieves the exact opposite result. The animals attack him and give him a prehistoric chomp. After that, the dinosaurs rock the boat, causing it to tilt. The passengers nearly fall into the water, which is teeming with hungry predators. Ruben barely manages to save Isabella from the giant jaws. To shake the tailed lizards off their trail, Duncan steers the boat toward the coastal reefs, hoping to maneuver there. Fearing they might crash, Ruben orders Teresa to send a distress signal over the radio. Martin, worried about the success of the mission, asks the girl not to share their coordinates with anyone. The argument between them leads to Teresa falling overboard. The pharmacist is in no hurry to help her, hoping that this way the conflict will resolve itself. However, as soon as Teresa falls into the water, her boyfriend Javier jumps in after her. Suspecting something is wrong, Ruben, along with his younger daughter, also leaves the boat. The boat heads toward the rocks when the mosasaur attacks it, damaging the sides and pushing it against the shore. The crew disembarks into the sea. Only Duncan remains at the helm. Unable to slow down, he and the boat crash onto St. Hubert's Beach. Soon the rest of the expedition members arrive there with the cargo. When a woman from the crew is grabbed by a Spinosaurus, the mercenaries realize this isn't Sochi. They're not welcome here, but they have a mission that must be completed. Zora reminds her upset colleagues about this, also informing them that a helicopter she hired will come for them in 24 hours. However, it will land on the other side of the island. After cutting through the steel cable that separates the beach from the rest of the island, the woman leads the team into the depths of the jungle. On the way, Zora asks Martin how it happened that Teresa fell overboard and he didn't even try to help her. The pharmacist denies the vile accusations against him as the group wades waist-deep through a swamp. Later, while filling his flask in the river, Martin notices military dog tags in the water. They had fallen from the pilot, who was stuck in the branches above the helicopter. Noticing the service pistol on the pilot, Martin carefully takes the weapon. The Delgado family and Javier swim to the shore, where they climb onto the island through a grotto. They also venture deeper into the jungle, away from the shore, but after noticing movement in the thickets, they change their route. Settling in for the night, the young man volunteers to take the first watch. When he goes to gather firewood, Isabella sees a small Aquilops dinosaur that has come out to the people in search of food. The girl feeds it until it lies down to sleep beside her. Meanwhile, Javier goes off to relieve himself, unaware that a pair of velociraptors are stalking him. The boy is saved from being eaten when a pterosaur swoops down on the hunters, deciding to make a meal of them instead. In the morning, Zora's group, walking through waist-high reeds, comes across a pair of titanosaurs. Being herbivores, the dinosaurs pay no attention to the people scurrying around their feet, especially since it's the height of their mating season. Thanks to this, their species has multiplied quite well in the area. Taking advantage of the moment, Zora pulls out her rifle and collects the second required blood sample. Now all they have left is to obtain DNA from a flying Quetzalcoatlus. Delgado, making their way through the jungle, slides down the mountainside straight to the riverbank. On the opposite bank, Teresa spots a small pier and a landcraft. Deciding there might be something useful inside, the girl wades across the river. On the shore, she sees the half-eaten corpse of a dinosaur, which a Dilophosaurus is feasting on. The lizard becomes aggressive toward the girl, but suddenly frightened by something, runs away. The reason for its fear turns out to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex dozing in the grass nearby. Trying not to wake the predator, Teresa sneaks into the car where she finds a backpack with an inflatable boat. After pulling it out, the girl inflates the boat, but at that moment, the Tyrannosaurus wakes up. While the lizard, still groggy, gulps down water as if it celebrated World Extinction Day yesterday, Teresa rows to the other shore to pick up her family. However, as they set off, the Tyrannosaurus starts to wonder what that tasty-looking thing floating over there is. The giant gives chase, wading deeper and deeper into the water. He may not be an aquatic creature, but at his size, that's not really his problem. Catching up to the fugitives, he flips the boat over with a swing of his snout, sending the people splashing into the river current like meatballs in soup. The Tyrannosaurus tries to fish them out of the water, but they cunningly dive under and keep swimming away. Reaching a narrow passage formed by rocks, the people realize that young Isabella is still in the water. The girl is swimming under the overturned boat. The Tyrannosaurus, realizing that's all that's left, grabs the boat with his teeth. Deprived of her cover, Isabella keeps swimming, trying to reach the narrow passage in time, where the predator's head simply can't fit. Frustrated, the dinosaur leaves in the best of spirits, and the people are left with their boat completely intact. She squeezed through the gorge, and not even the swift current swept her away. At this time, Zora's team is climbing to the top of the mountain to descend by ropes from the cliff to the Quetzalcoatlus nest. While Martin and Duncan keep watch above, the girl, Henry, and the last surviving member of Duncan's crew descend. Reaching a cave in the rock, adorned with traces of an ancient Indian civilization, the group finds the nest of the flying reptile. Since it's much easier to collect a DNA sample from a harmless egg than from a massive, aggressive predator, they simply draw some liquid from the clutch into a syringe. During the process, Zora asks how their mission will help humanity. Henry admits that the pharmaceutical company will simply make a fortune off the medicine, and that to truly help everyone, they should give the samples to those who won't patent the research, making it public property. However, their scientific work is interrupted by the return of an unhappy mother. Even though she's not an unshaven man, the bird still doesn't like anyone touching her eggs without permission. They are forced to dodge the predatory beak while trying to save the capsule with the samples. A well-aimed throw of a hammer by a crew member distracts the animal but puts the extra in danger. He tries to climb up with Duncan's help, but the Quetzalcoatlus, like Spider-Man, creeps up the sheer wall after him, eventually devouring the poor guy. Meanwhile, because of the tension on the rope, Henry nearly falls out of the cave. Zora tries to pull him up, but the man notices the syringe with the samples. Trying to reach it, he swings on the rope, which then frays against the rock and snaps right after the capsule launches upward. The paleontologist falls down, but since he's not just some random crew member from the boat, the trees below break his fall enough to keep him alive. Next, the specimen descends by parachute, followed by the surviving colleagues, who have found a ladder stretching from the top all the way down. At sunset, the Delgado family arrives by boat at the research base, where the mercenaries also show up, having collected the triptych of required specimens. Martin explains that experiments to create mutant dinosaurs were conducted here. The two groups meet in the parking lot, where Teresa reveals how Martin wanted her to drown. The conversation escalates into an argument, but the fact that the pharmaceutical team is armed quickly puts an end to the conflict. Especially since the man simply suggests that everyone leave together on the helicopter Zora promised. The tense wait for evacuation is interrupted by several mutated pterosaurs. Because of their attack, the people are forced to split up. The Delgado family hides in a store. Martin and Zora crawl under a car, while Duncan and Henry find an entrance to an underground bunker. Isabella notices the Aquilops that has been following them and feeds it, while a pterosaur smashes through the store's roof in search of a fresh snack. The girl hides from the reptile in a refrigerator, covering the glass with her jacket. When her father distracts the predator with a discarded snack, she reunites with her family, after which they quickly hide in the sewers. In the bunker, Duncan studies a map of the complex and discovers that there is a boat at the pier. Through the destroyed roof, they see an approaching helicopter, after which Duncan orders the paleontologist to hold off the transport until he gathers everyone, not noticing the mutant Distortus Rex prowling outside. Meanwhile, Martin empties his pistol's magazine into the pterosaur, finds the keys to the jeep, and drives away with the blood samples, leaving Zora and the others behind. Hiding in the bushes, the mercenary sees the pterosaur crawl into the sewer system. Realizing that civilians are hiding there, the girl follows after. On the helipad, Henry uses signal lights to alert the pilots. The helicopter begins to land, but is suddenly grabbed by the Distortus Rex, which tears it open like a can. The scientist runs back to Duncan, who has found Delgado in the sewers. They all hide in the underground tunnel. Duncan tells them about a boat at the pier, after which they head there through the tunnels. Martin is also heading there in a jeep. Zora runs into the others in the sewers and shoots the mutant chasing them, killing it. Then they reach the tunnel exit, which is blocked by a grate. Isabella squeezes through the bars to open the gate from the outside, but just then a six-legged Distortus appears. However, the lizard's attention is drawn away by Martin's jeep. While the predator deals with the pharmacist, the others run toward the pier. Grabbing the suitcase with the samples, all that's left of Martin, the girl runs after them. While the group tries to lower the boat using a mechanism that's jammed after years of disuse, Distortus catches up to them. Duncan, recalling the first film, decides to distract the predator with a flare. Waving it, he lures the mutant away, diving into the water. While everyone boards and starts the launch, Zora watches as the flame fades into the night. Her last friend has sacrificed himself. The survivors in the boat set off just as Distortus Rex returns, ready to make a meal of them. The beast growls in frustration, having lost its prey. With a face like that, what else can you do? It turns out that Duncan survived, having escaped from the predator. After picking him up, the survivors head out to open sea, away from the dinosaurs and closer to the mainland, accompanied by a pod of dolphins. In the dawn light, Henry asks Zora what she plans to do with the blood samples she obtained. The girl says they should be made public so that everyone on Earth can have access to the cure. And with that, the film, unlike the milking of the franchise, comes to an end.